Now, it isn't enough to have data from just one snapshot in time. Even tools like Affinio only give you hashtags and content insights from a short recent period. If you really want to get to know the audience, you will have to engage in active listening over a period of time. It's important to note here that you're not listening for mentions of your brand or company by the audience either. What you're looking for is what matters to them in order to facilitate more personalized engagement. Finding relevant hashtags is another way of discovering new people and conversations. Earlier, we saw the example of polling in the audience through hashtags used in a community of interest. When it comes to social listening, you should also be following hashtags to see emerging conversations. There are a few ways to find hashtags on Twitter. Number one, in Clear and Affinio, you started to create a list of influencers. If you follow your list of influencers and participants in a community, you will start to recognize hashtags used on a regular basis. The example of the CDN Health hashtag I used earlier to find more people in conversations on Affinio came from following a list of influential doctors in Canada. I saw that they were using the hashtags CDN Health and CND Health, as well as Health Poly, in various conversations. So I took note of them and used them in Affinio search to find more about the broader audience talking about health in Canada. Number two, if you haven't come across hashtags that influencers in your audience are using, you can go to RightTag and search for hashtags around a subject matter. They have a simple search on their homepage that allows you to enter a topic and search for potential hashtags used to discuss that topic. And number three, another tool to search for potential hashtags is Keyhole. A quick search found on their homepage will give you a snapshot of hashtags. On Instagram, though there are tools you can use to find popular hashtags, the most effective way to research hashtags is through the native Instagram mobile application. It not only shows you the results for general hashtags, but it also suggests all sorts of other hashtags you should look into. When I was researching teachers on Instagram, the automatic suggestions on the tags search result page gave me all sorts of other ideas on what to look for. That's how I found Red Pen. Another great source for social listening is discussion groups. Discussion groups are usually present when a community has great density. Discussion groups exist on many social platforms and can be a great way to discover the challenges and culture of a community. Here are a few examples. LinkedIn groups and subreddits. Now, if you don't know Reddit, it's a huge group of discussion boards online. Within the board, there are hundreds of thousands of conversations around specific topics, and these are what are called subreddits. Within those subreddits, you will find very enthusiastic, passionate members of communities of interest. There are subreddits for pretty much every topic that you can imagine. There are subreddits for people who modify tractors, people who are enthusiastic about collecting insects, birders, accountants, documentarians, you name it. Once you find your community of interest, you can most likely go on to Reddit and search for a subreddit and find them talking there. Another example is Facebook groups and Google groups. Now, Google groups work very much like Facebook and LinkedIn groups, although they usually communicate through email threads. Much like subreddits or LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups, you can find a Google group on pretty much any topic. When you join these groups, make sure you turn on your notifications, as you can't really plug these into any of the social listening platforms that I'm going to cover. By following them on a regular basis, you can find out what they're the most passionate about so that you can facilitate more personal conversations down the line. The last step is to make sure you're covering off as many networks as possible when following your influencers and participants. They may be sharing things on various platforms that they aren't sharing on Twitter. Are they on Medium, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Periscope, Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and do they have a blog? To find them, most people use similar usernames across most networks, but if not, you can use a search to try to locate them within the directory on each platform. Once again, it is important to try to find influencers on all of the platforms that they're on because, like I said, they may be sharing things on one platform that they're not sharing on another. It also helps you understand the whole person, the personal, the professional, the interests. Now comes time to enter everything into monitoring tools to help you easily follow along and track multiple users and conversations within your communities. A social media monitoring tool assists you in following many people at the same time more easily. There are many of these tools available, and really it's all based on your own preference, but here are a few that you can look into: Hootsuite, Tint, Tagboard, and Mention. Setting these up isn't just good for your initial research either. When it comes to social, audiences shift over time, so keeping track of the audience discussion on these tools will help you update your understanding along the way. You will need to make social listening an ongoing part of your role, not just use it for this section. Here are some screenshots of Hootsuite. In order to track across more than 3 social networks, you'll need to upgrade to the paid Pro version. You can use the Hootsuite Streams tab to monitor different networks or communities. There are a bunch of ways to set up your social listening in Hootsuite, but to start, you need to add social streams, so click on the plus Add Stream button at the top of the page. A pop-up will appear asking you to either connect to various networks or choose a stream from one of your networks to add. You can add the lists you have created or create a stream for a hashtag that you want to follow. There are also several apps within Hootsuite that allow you to add extra analysis on the discussions, helping you see who are the most influential people, which hashtags are emerging, shifting word clouds, etc. Tint makes a really lovely social listening dashboard, but they're on the pricier side, starting around $500 a month. NASDAQ even uses Tint as their big social listening dashboard. You can create dashboards across multiple networks based on hashtags, users, groups, lists, and more, depending on the network. Tagboard is incredibly simple to set up, but you can only follow one stream at a time, and if you want to set up a permanent tagboard to track, you'll have to pay. To set it up, just go to tagboard.com and type in a hashtag into the search box. The result will be a real-time stream of all of the social media from across various platforms that use that hashtag. The advantage of Tagboard is that after you create a tagboard, you can share it with your entire team so that everyone can follow along and get to know the audience better. So I know this may sound crazy and like a lot of work, but I'm a fan of doing the monitoring natively. This means following everyone that I can and immersing myself in the conversation for a few weeks. Most people will say this is unrealistic, but really it is the best way to understand what's going on and get a full picture of the members of the community. I also find that it brings up some really great real-time opportunities for connection. Social networks are not really about business, they're more about being social. So listening in real time allows you to get into your social groove. It gives you greater insights into the people that you're following and also creates opportunities for social connection in real time. So if, say there's a community member in the list looking for a great restaurant in a city that you know really well and you know some great restaurants, you can jump in at that time, creating a connection with that user by offering up your suggestions. The more helpful you are, the more that you'll build rapport that will really come in useful over time.